This is question number 4 on homework 4 for session 5 on security valuations. So basically, this is a question about the two types of bonds, two bonds having similar characteristics except for the maturity. So one bond, which is called bond SAM, has a shorter maturity of 4 years, and the other bond, which is called bond Dave, has a longer maturity, 19 years. So the question asks us to calculate a bunch of prices based on the characteristics of these two bonds and the maturity and given the interest rate. And it also asks us to calculate the percentage change in the price. So this percentage change represents the interest rate risk of this of bonds. So basically, interest rate risk means that if interest rate changes, what happens to the bond price? And for the same change on the interest rate, if one bond price fluctuates more, then it has higher interest rate risk. So, and one of the important relationships on bond valuation we learned in this session is that the longer maturity bonds have a higher interest rate risk. From that, we should expect that the 19-year bond, their price will change more dramatically as compared with the 4-year bonds without calculation. So basically, this exercise can make that intuition more concrete. With that understanding, let's turn to the calculation. So first, I just put all these numbers all into my Excel sheet. Bond Sam, bond Dave, and coupon rate is 6%. Payment frequency is 2. 2 here represents semi-annual, so which means the number of payments within a year. And this P0 means the initial price. And because the setup told us that the bonds are initially priced at par value. In general, we know that par value is $1,000. So that's why the initial price P0 is $1,000. And this is true for both bonds. And maturity, one is 4 years and the other one is 19 years. And so even without calculation, we know that one of the 4 important relationships on bond valuation is that I think it's the second one is that if the price is the same as the par value, then the yield to maturity should be the same as the coupon rate. So the corresponding YTM 0 to the price P0 of $1,000 is that it has to be same as the coupon rate. And again, this is the same for both bonds. So initial yield to maturities for both bonds is 6%. Why do I need to know that? Because the setup told us that if interest rates suddenly rise by 2%, so interest rates here means the yield to maturity, suddenly rise by 2%, what is the percentage change in the price of bond Sam and bond Dave? So the yield to maturity 1, which is the new interest rate, is equal to the initial interest rate plus 2%. And this is the same for both bonds. Actually, I think for the easy of calculating later, so let me just use change in interest rate, YTM. And this is 2%. And this is true for both bonds. So now let me use a cell value instead of directly typing this or hard coding this, because this way I can make, I just need to change this one number later and all other numbers will change automatically. So this is the initial yield to maturity and plus this change in YTM. So the price, the new price corresponding to this YTM1, P1, will be calculated based on the PV function, right? PV function. And the rate here is basically the interest rate. And interest rate, we know this is YTM1. But remember here, the bond is semi-annual. So we need to get the semi-annual YTM by dividing this. This is the annually quoted by default. By dividing this 8% by the number of payments within a year. And the second argument here is NPER. Basically, this is the number of payments, coupon payments until the maturity. So this will be equal to the maturity date, maturity years, and then times the number of the payment frequency. And then the third argument here is the payment. So this is the coupon payment. Again, I want to put a negative number here because I want to get a positive present value. So this will be the coupon rate, right? The coupon rate and then times the par value. Par value is generally is $1,000. But this coupon rate is annually quoted, so I also need to divide this by the number of by the payment frequency to get the semi-annual coupon payment. And finally, this future value represents the par value, which is assumed to be $1,000. So now I can close this function and get this number. Oh, I think I forgot to put a negative number in front of this par value. That's why I have a negative value there. So the new price, given this, the new interest rate is $932. And it makes sense because based on the second relationships on bond valuation, we know that if the interest rate or the yield at maturity is higher than the coupon rate, then the price or intrinsic value of the bond will be lower than the par value. So that's exactly the case here. So now the percentage change, percent change in price. So this is basically my new price and then divided by the initial price, 1,000, and then minus 1. And then I just need to format the cells to put this in percentage terms, and following the rounding requirement here, enter your answers as a percent rounded to 2 decimal places. So I just keep 2 decimal places here. And this will give me negative 6.73%. So I just put that number here, negative 6.73%. And similarly, we can do the calculation for the other bond. It's very similar to actually, yeah, why don't I just quickly just do similar things as I did here. So this equals PV open, and rate is the new yield maturity, and then again I need to divide this by the frequency here. And the second argument is the number of payments, so that's basically the maturity times this payment frequency. And then the payment, the third argument here is the coupon payment, so that's the coupon rate times 1,000, and then divided by the payment frequency here. And finally, the future value, negative $1,000. So now, even without calculation, you can see that the price of the longer-term maturity bond has fallen more than the price of the shorter maturity bond, and that's what the question on us to find out. So the percentage change in price equals the current price divided by the initial price, and then -1. So again, change the format here to be in percentage terms and keep two decimal places. So this will give me negative 19.37% and put that number back, negative 19.37%. So, and then the next, if rates were to suddenly fall by 2% instead, what would be the percentage change in the price of bond Sam and bond Dave? So instead of having an increase in the interest rate, now we have a decrease in the interest rate. So that's why using Excel is very convenient here. So what I can do is simply to change this to be a negative number. So all the other numbers will automatically adjust based on this new change in the interest rate. So you can see that the percentage change, and now because, and you can also see the reflection of the secondary relationships on bond valuation, because now the yield of maturity is lower than the coupon rate, so we should expect the price to be higher than the par value, and that's exactly the case. And also we should expect the longer maturity bond, their price should appreciate more, and that's also the case, right? So now the rest of the job is simply to copy the number back, just keep the number part, and this will be. So now I can check my work, and I think we have done all these questions correctly.